Now it's time to talk about the traditional distributor and distribution for your film. You know, many of our films have gone down the route of the traditional distributor, and I want to share some of the things that we've learned and some strategies that you can implement with distributors. The first thing is, just like festivals, do your research. Start looking at the types of distributors that are out there and think about the distributors that are a good fit for your subject matter and for your coalition. You know, different distributors, they're going to focus on different subject matters. Some may carry a slate of films that have a lot of variety in subject matter, but it might be that they have a similar budget level for the films. But there are some others that specialize. Again, they're often specialized distributors for Christian films. They're specialized distributors for horror films or for comedy or action, or that focus on international. So start to do that research. There are lots of different sites and lists that are available online. There are books that you can purchase to do that research. And then one of the best ways to research that is to get an IMDb Pro account. Now with that, you can go onto IMDb, you can look at films and distributors and look to see what's on the slate of the distributors. You might even find films that feel similar in both subject matter and similar to scope of yours, and then look to see what company distributed that, and then go to that company website or to look at their roster on IMDb and see if there seems to be alignment. You can often get contact information that way as well. With IMDb Pro, it's about $20 a month. You could wait until you're in distribution phase, and when you want to search and contact those distributors, just get it for the account for a month or two and then cancel after that, but it could be a valuable tool for you. So lots of lists online. You can find it on IMDb Pro. You can find other researches, but start to do that research and find out which one is going to be a good fit for you. And it doesn't hurt to start communicating with them early. Let them know what you're working on and share a bit about your film. And again, have those conversations and asking them, what are they looking for? Is there something that you could do to be helpful for them? Now, they're going to ask you possibly if they could see dailies or if they could see a rough cut of the film. They want to see it as soon as possible. And you're going to be so excited that somebody has interest in your film, and you're going to want to share it with them. And I'm sure you're going to make disclaimers. You know, it's not finished yet. The color's not there, and sound, it's going to be better, and all of that. And please do not share it with them. Wait until it's completely finished before you share it with them, because you're only going to get that one first impression. They're going to judge the film whether they mean to or not. They're going to judge it by what's there and not what it could be when it's completely finished. So have the discipline, hold back, do not show them any early cuts. Only show them what is completely finished. Also, you're going to want to be careful with the budget. You know, if you pull this off for $2,000 like I did, or even less, you don't have to share that information when they ask you, okay, what's your budget? What'd you spend on this? If it's a small budget, you can just say, you know, we had a really modest budget and it's, you know, well under $100,000. You can leave it at that, and you don't have to go into the specific budget for them, because what might happen is if the budget is really, really low, they might consider either, oh, you know, this probably isn't a great film because it has such a low budget, and they're going to write it off in the beginning, or they may consider that when making you some sort of offer and lowball the offer based on your budget. So don't share that. Don't share the film until it's final. But you can be communicating with them early on to let them know what you're working on and to see if it's something that they might be interested in. Now, another way that you can find distribution is through the American film market, or film markets in general, but the largest for the United States is the American film market, and you can research that some more yourself. But the idea is this giant market where filmmakers and distributors bring their film to find distribution homes at platforms or larger distributors or buyers for different territories. And it is expensive for you to actually get a booth there and to exhibit and things like that. But it's not that expensive if you were to want to get a day pass, or to just be in the area of the film market and to try to book meetings or make contact with the folks who will be there, because there will be distributors there that are looking for their films, or sales agents looking to pick up films to connect with distributors. So look into the American film market. But it's probably, if you've got a no budget film, You're probably not going to be able to afford to do that, but it is something for you to consider and to look into and see if it's a good fit for you. Now, with any distributors that you're dealing with, once you get to the stage of somebody has screened your film, they are interested, and they're gonna make you an offer, do your homework. Start to research even further into that distributor. Contact other filmmakers who have used that distributor, see what type of experience they have had as well, because you never quite know who you're getting into business with, and you put in all this work in your film, and you want to make sure it has the best shot and that you're not taken advantage of. And this is a kind of predatory environment often. We've had some really great experiences with some distributors, but we've also had some not great experiences with folks not being completely candid about how they do business. And a few different things that can happen with your distributor is they take this sort of creative accounting approach. And they may not be lying outright, but how they charge you for various things isn't necessarily what I would consider very ethical. And so what might happen is they say, okay, we love your film. We want to distribute your film, and we can't offer you any money up front, but we're going to take it on, and you're going to receive, let's say, 50% of everything, all the revenue that comes in for your film minus expenses. But when it comes to accounting for those expenses, that's where there's kind of some creativity involved. You know, it might be that they've decided to market your film along with other films on their slate, and then they're going to charge you the cost of marketing all of those other films. And then they're going to charge those other films the cost of marketing those films. So if they were doing a particular, ad in a trade publication, and that ad cost $5,000, they might charge your film, and the 3 other films featured in the ad all get charged that $5,000 for that ad. So then they're actually making money on advertising your film, charging you for that. And then when any revenue comes in for it, they're going to keep that to pay off what you owe, and you're not going to receive that money. So be careful. You can talk to the distributors about, what kind of expenses you can expect. You can even negotiate a cap on the expenses and say, I'm not expecting to pay for any of the marketing expenses beyond this amount. Or you can consider negotiating a different way and say, I'm not paying any expenses, and maybe I'll take a lower percentage off of the revenue, but I don't want to be responsible for paying any of your expenses. So there are some things to watch out for and some things to consider when you're negotiating the deal with the distributor. And with a formal distributor, there are some things that they're going to ask for and some processes that you're going to have to go through. You're going to have to deliver the film, but they'll ask you for an export or a copy of the film in a certain resolution and certain codec and formatting and some things like that. So you need to be prepared for those type of requests. There's going to be paperwork that you're going to have to fill out. And some of the bigger distributors, they might ask you to get E&O insurance. That's something that we talked about earlier on in pre-production and development. But that E&O insurance is going to cover them and or cover you if somebody were to come back and sue and say that they didn't like the way that their company or their product or their location was represented in the film. So there may be an expense that you incur with that. We have never had to cover that with any of the films and the distribution that we've received. However, we did turn down a distribution offer with a fairly significant distributor because they were going to require E&O insurance, and with their offer for the film, it was basically going to be the same price as the E&O insurance. So we're going to be out of a lot of money and time, and not really have any revenue to come from the distribution. It was going to be prestigious, but we weren't going to be able to make any money. We might even lose money on that. So we didn't get into the E&O insurance, but be prepared that might be something that comes up. And then in addition to that, you're going to be asked to go through a QC process for quality control. Now, again, depending on your distributor, some of our distributors did not require that, but one of them did. And what's going to happen with the quality control and the quality check is that they're going to play your film through, and they're going to make sure that the technical quality of the film is appropriate. And they might ask you to go back and fix something. With our film, there were a few pixels that seemed to be dead pixels in some way that needed to be covered up. And then with our sound, when we were delivering sound, you're going to deliver a few different tracks of sound. One track of sound is going to be your dialogue, and one track of sound is going to be music, and one track is going to be effects. And those are going to be separated. Now, your distributor wants those because if they need to edit something for a certain form of distribution, they have that flexibility. Or if it's going to be dubbed for foreign language, they're going to keep the music and the sound effects, and they're going to take out the dialogue that you've recorded and replace that with the dubbed dialogue so that everything still sounds consistent. Now, what could happen that you'll need to be prepared for is if they do want to distribute it into foreign markets and they want to dub it into another language, then you're going to have to consider the sound effects that were in the film. How many were captured live in the moment, with the boom mic, footsteps or the shut of a door or something like that were built into those dialogue tracks, and how much of that was occurring that you baked in with Foley and sound effects. Because what could happen, and what happened to us, is a good deal of the sounds of cars and doors shutting and footsteps and things like that, turning on a lamp or hitting a light switch, a lot of that sound was baked into the same track as the dialogue. But when the distributor wanted to prepare it for foreign sales, we went through the QC process and they said, well, this isn't ready. You're going to have to go back and add sounds in because sounds are missing once we remove the dialogue track, and we have to have that for the foreign distribution. So we had to go back with the person who designed the sound with the film and pay them extra money to go in and add new Foley that didn't need to be added for the English version, but that had to be added for the foreign versions. So be prepared for that QC process as well.